Well, hello. It's down here at the bottom. It's Jeff Shaw. Um, and as you know, on a Thursday night, we go live both on audio as well as video streaming through Facebook and YouTube. And later on, we put it up onto Spotify, iHeart, Amazon, Google, and Apple. So you can always jump in after the show's finished. But we prefer to go live so that you can interact with our guests. And this morning in United Kingdom, I'll introduce you to our co-host Andrena Forrest. It's good morning to you.
Morning, Jeffrey. Morning, Viviane. Morning, everybody that's listening to Dream in the New Dream. And if you're listening to the replay, welcome. Today, it's our great pleasure to have Viviane Chauvet on the line as our guest. And I was introduced to her from a lady in America called Debbie. And so I'm very thankful to Debbie for connecting us. And I'd like to honour and acknowledge that it's about 2 a.m. in the morning for you. So thank you for coming on. It's such an unearthly hour. Anyway, you're the owner of Infinite Healing from the Stars. You've got Star Being Partnerships, telepathic communication. And then I read that in your bio, in 2007, you experienced a life-altering reset. So I'd love to know more about that. You do multi-dimensional frequency healing, and you work with the Arcturians and the Syrians and a whole lot more. So I know you mentioned that you started off your journey in Montreal. So would you like to tell us how all this came about, how this came into being?
Yes, of course. And I want to thank both of you for having me today. And I want to, connect and send all the love to everyone across the UK, Australia, and around the world, actually. So it's a joy to be here. And
Thank you.
yes, it is 2 a.m. in the morning for me. So thank you for working with me at this time. From an Earth perspective, you can say that my journey did begin in Canada. So, I love the map that you're showing right now, Jeff. You want to make a comment on that?
Yeah, yeah. So where are we starting off with Jeff
Oh well, I
down in
just yeah,
Australia?
go on.
So you're
Yeah, down here.
down in the bottom corner, and then we go up to America,
Yeah,
where Viviane is, right up there. And
yeah,
where's little old England? Right.
just there.
Okay. And I have to
Right.
say we've got snow. We've got snow here today. So anyway, carry. I don't think it's going to settle, but it's lovely to watch. So anyway, without further ado, please share all of these wonderful things that you've been up to and that you're doing, and the beings that you're working with.
Yes, of course. With great joy again. It's a pleasure to be here. And Jeff, thank you for showing the map because I love how it connects all of us. It brings a perspective how much we are truly interconnected with each other, no matter where we are geographically or physically. And today episode is a really beautiful testimonial of how much we are connected. And it's across the globe, it's across the
Mm.
planet. So it's just to feel it for a moment to say, yes, I am connected to all there is. And so that map was really wonderful. So thank you for the introduction. I am known as an Arcturian being in a human hybrid form. So the hybrid part of me, it's my physical body. I am an Arcturian being and I have chosen to come in a very specific way to be on the planet in order to more effectively connect, transmit, and communicate also our perspective and our frequencies in a time where we knew that the earth was entering the higher potential of her ascension along with an entire civilization. So my earthly journey really began through Canada, where I grew up there and I evolved there as a child and moving on. So, and then later on in life, I moved to the United States of America because for us we're neighbors. So I moved to the U.S. to be able to be more with the Arizona ancient grid system and that was much more of an anchoring point for me. But yes, I do communicate and collaborate with a great level of interstellar groups and interplanetary council. We work very closely with the High Council of Sirius, Andromeda, Lawrence, and others. And right now we're seeing the constellation of Butes, and thank you for that. Butes
Oh, yeah,
being,
yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, yeah, carry
yes, the Butes
on.
constellation, where we know that the star of Arcturus, as you perceive it, in your from an astronomy perspective, is one of the brightest star in the sky. So thank you for this interstellar map. I love looking at those maps. It brings me back to that point of connection, makes me feel home, even though I know that I am exactly where I need to be on this planet. But this earthly journey has been very interesting because I got to experience this through my own perspective as a nocturne being in a hybrid form. It really allows me to understand better the journey of humanity, the challenge, what is the requirements also here, what reversal of thought system needs to be clear, what emotional attachment is there. So I've been learning such a lot by having this human experience, so to speak, so I can relay more effectively to my delegation and those we work with to readjust to see where are we on the frequency, where are we in the oscillation, where are we also in the changes in the timeline. So there's so much that we do. We monitor constantly on and off planet. And so I am here with you in that form, but I'm also a lot off planet when I go back into my original form. So I am constantly in and out of body, so to speak. So I am really designed to sustain those interdimensional shift in oscillation. So, and my physical vessel is designed for this. We can explore my journey in so many ways.
Mm.
Just give the perspective that even though I look a lot human, which was the intention, that at the soul level who I am a nocturne being, and I'm just took on this form so I can be on the planet with all of you and being able to do this incredible, profound, more direct work and have a more direct impact in a positive way for the organic timeline of ascension. Ah, yes, Bhutas constellation, beautiful energy. So this is the 3D aspect of looking at a constellation. We perceive our realm differently, but it's always wonderful to look at a map. It brings me back, it brings my heart back to that place, and I love it. Thank you so much for this.
Mm. So can I ask, like, you were aware that you've come in, where when you were young, did you have that awareness, or was the awareness as you got a little bit older? How did it sort of open up for you?
That is a beautiful question, Andrena. Thank you. So the awareness always have been part of me. You have to think about I am the same being all along. I'm simply readjusting at different stages of evolution or what you call growing up, as a child, teenager, young adults, moving up. So because of who I am constantly in that conscious blended form of communication. So there's no need for me to channel because I'm a part of them. I'm as an Arcturian, I'm part of the infinite collective that we are. And they remind me of this right all the time. They always tap on my shoulders and says, "Remember, I know you get attached to this form, but you're one of us." So even as a child, I remember distinctively having those realization and observation is the way I think or the way I perceive a reality or concepts of reality. It's always been part of who I am. It's just that I have refined over the time and the understanding how to communicate what I am perceiving at a higher level. So for example, I will be sitting in a classroom with my classmate and teacher would say, well, here's the history book or here's the map of the earth. And I look at it and I'm like, this is not how we perceive it. And so I would not necessarily argue with a teacher, but I would make a point to say that this is an incorrect map or this is an incorrect statement. And I knew that what I was looking at is more the manipulated version of history or these maps. So my team will coach me, and I can always hear them in and out like it's a transmission, a fluid transmission. And they would say, "We understand that you know that this is an incorrect information. Just learn for the purpose of understanding how this
Mhm.
reality works." So they will coach me. And so then this way, I was just navigate through the process. But I was very, very aware, even sitting in a classroom, again, like in school, and feeling the energy of the others, of other youngsters of so-called my age. But I was nothing near the same frequency or the same state of awareness as they were. So it was always challenging for me from a social perspective how to make connections, how to communicate, how to behave, what is normal, what is the standard way to approach that. So it's always been very awkward for me, especially
Mm.
when growing up in this 3D environment. You have to think about back in the 80s and 90s when I was in college, the level of state of consciousness on the planet was very different. And there were certain even linguistic words like hybrid or Arcturians or all of these linguistic words that is more accepted today. Back then, you would not talk about it. What is a hybrid? They look at you like, what movie is that? So, I have to really pace myself in a way that I have to stay in sync with the evolutionary process and the conscious awakening, the challenge of each era. I really have to realize that, as I was being prepared and I was, ev- how could I say that, evaluating what was happening on the planet, I was also communicating off planet. But of course, I would not talk about this because there was no space for that. There was no acceptance of today. People wants to know more. There's many community and people channels, and they talk to their star groups, so they recognize their reality as a star seed, and they always known that. But even 20 years ago, you were not there yet. So we have to wait. We really have to wait and evolve pace step by step alongside with you to increase exponentially the frequency over time so we can be today where we are and have this kind of conversation. So it's always been a very fascinating journey for me and that perspective. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Gosh. So I'm just like, with you connecting with different beings, if you like, do they each come in with different languages, and you're aware of those languages?
A good point. Yes, we understand that there is like language, and each vibrational languages will have a very specific vibrational signature because the other group consciousness, as we call them, or the other interplanetary or interstellar groups, they know who I am. They can see me. They're not going to be taken by this physical form. They know exactly who I am, what I represent, and they remember me more in that sense as an intergalactic being or an ambassador. So when they communicate with me, they will communicate to that part of me that is the Arcturian. And so what they do is oftentimes is I will see either distinct portal opening, and each portal carry a frequency or a signature that I recognize and I understand who it belongs to. It's like saying I'm going to send you a transmission or a radio wave
Mm.
transmission with a code so you understand that this is us communicating with you. So in that sense, like after time during my work, the sirens come. I know it's them because I am attuned to their presence. I know right away that I can identify them as Assyrians or an Andromedan just came in or a group of consciousness from the Lyran or the Lyra constellation came. So I will identify these different frequencies and conscious presence right away, and they know that I'm going to be able to make a distinction between those groups. And I want to share something fun with everyone. One time I remember after a long day of doing healing work, I was sitting in my living room drinking tea. Yes, I feel like I'm pretty British like this. I love my tea every day. So I honor that. I love my herbal tea. And so I'm sitting there just enjoying to unwind and reflect upon the work and what we are observing, of the movement on the planet. So I'm having my tea. And then suddenly my team, my Arcturian father says, pay attention. There's going to be 5 different groups who's going to come to you now. So I say, okay. So it's like an holographic field opening in my living room. And they were different light spectrum portal opening. What it means by that is that each portal has a very unique light spectrum. And that light spectrum has a color frequency. And this is like an indigo blue opening. Oh, I recognize that. Oh, this is a purple lavender. Oh, there's another one. So consequent five portal in a row open up, and each group came in, make connection, and then there was a transmission. We acknowledge of each other, and they came in and out, but each came with a different band of frequency that they was sending out signals through my DNA, and I was responding back to them. And then the next will come. I receive a signal, I will respond back to them. And so after the 5th portal or the 5th group consciousness coming in, my Arcturian father calmly says, great, you just received the necessary upgrade that you needed, because there's going to be new group consciousness coming in, and this way you'll be able to identify them. I said, perfect. All of this sitting in my living room drinking tea, it's all happening at the same time, because to them there is no linear time construct. It's 9 o'clock at night, or it's midnight, or it's on a Tuesday or a Sunday. There's no relevance in that time quantification. To them is, okay, now there's a window opening, and this is where we're going to do this. They have learned over time that my physical form requires rejuvenation at night. So I just go out of body and says, wait till my body sleep, I'm going to meet you there. But other than that, there's no concept of linear time, past, present, future. Like right now, it's morning for you, middle of the night for me. This is a linear way of perceiving time. So when it's time, they will tell me. And that's just one example of this. I remember another example being in a parking lot. You would call it a car park. So I was in this car park, and I was about to do something, an errands or something, and then out of the blue, I see this really super bright light coming in, and my Arcturian father says, well, Alliance wants to connect with you. There's a reason for this. And then suddenly I see a female Lyran appearing in the car park, in the parking lot. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess we're doing it publicly here in the open. But I asked, is anybody else is aware of this encounter? They said, oh no. Even though you see the car parked in that lot, you are not in that dimension any longer. You are in the same frequency field as the Lyran, and the Lyran comes for you, not for the humans. And so we were having this telepathic transmission and these light code transmission happening right sitting in my car, when I could see this Lyran being coming in. And once it's done, I was simply brought back to this frequency, this reality baseline of 3rd dimension, and go, okay, now you can go run your errands. So it's the kind of experiences I'm having, which is completely normal for me, because I am designed that way. And I understand that too, those interstellar presence or these intelligence, they know who I am. It says, we known you for thousands of years, and we know that right now you are in a very sacred assignment on a planet called the Earth, but we're going to still communicate with you because you have other work that you do with us. So we're here to continuing the work that we started maybe 1,000 years ago. So this is why I love to share those moments, because for us here on the planet, we go, wow, it sounds familiar. It inspires others who have had different similar experiences or in their own ways, but to show you how much we are bridging realities. We are redefining what reality, and this is really much part of what we call evolving a new human template. We're evolving a more cosmic, universal, consciousness, and to realize that we are interweaving different level of realities that becomes much more part of the norm, that is more normal, that is natural, as opposed to go, wow, this is an extraordinary experience. So we're redefining again those labels, if that makes sense.
Gosh, so many questions. So do you recognize any other people that have come in like yourself to do the work? Have you got a recognition of, you think, oh, I know that person's come in to do, and work with the Syrians or the Palladians, or do you have any awareness of this?
Absolutely, and that's another important layer, and thank you for that, Andrena, is especially whether it's one-on-one private session or when I encounter people when I travel, whether it's lectures in conferences or when we do workshop or when I host retreats and things like that. After time when I am in the presence of another ancient soul, let's say you're representing, you're more of a Lyran starseed, there will be an energy of a frequency about you that really speaks to me. And so sometimes people come to me and says, well, this reader told me I'm Arcturian. Okay, let's redefine what it means to be Arcturian to begin with. And second, let's understand what an Arcturian is really about and not what you read or saw online. And after time, when we start to dig deeper and start to really connect energetically to the soul essence or the soul ancestry of that person, we can better identify what I call their intergalactic tree of soul connection is about. So they may have a branch of connections with Arcturians, let's say, for example, and you carry that energy in your field. So another person who utilize their gift the way they understand them how may pick up on that and say, well, you are Arcturian. So sometimes what we do is readjusting the semantics of what has been conveyed to people so they can better understand what does it mean in what context for them and how it is brought forward in this lifetime. Because ultimately we know that we all are divine beings, so it doesn't matter really if you call yourself a cosmic ambassador or a linguist or an intergalactic linguist, or you are hybrid or starseed or human. Those are roles that we play to understand what this lifetime is about. We understand that at the core level we are divine essence of light, and an aspect of you is in this form right now, being able to bring in a next level of conscious awakening, frequencies, opening, unification, and so forth. So we can identify and see right away what does it mean for that person and their unique blueprint and their unique pathway to represent or be in connections with very specific intergalactic groups. And some of them will be having a much closer core connection with you, and others will be more branches of influence that you brought forward in order to supporting you in this lifetime, because ultimately this lifetime is your most important one. So I love even the name of the show, Dreaming the New Dream, is dreaming a new level of reality that is absolutely possible, and how we are come together to interweave this new level of realities or dream, and how we're able to utilize not only our unique soul gift and abilities and faculties, but also we are interweaving extra branches or interdimensional branches of connections. And that includes your galactic ancestry, just like as you may embrace your human ancestry here, where you're from, your parents, your ancestors, your grandparents, and so forth. Well, think of it the same way, but on a much more multiverse level. So that reopen the field of possibilities for everyone, if that resonates.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I know I've been told in the past I come from Andromeda, and I've been in Sirius, and I've been here, and like most of us, we've all come from different planets and what have you. So, and I know now is the greatest time in history of change, and we've all chosen to be here at this time. So, what can people do if they want to tune themselves up, if you like, to be more in alignment with the star beings that they are, or like, just say I'm Andrena from Andromeda. So if I wanted to call in my Andromedans, who could help me now to fulfill my mission, to keep doing the work that I've come to do? What guidance would you give us?
Yes, absolutely. And so you have to think about, we're giving guidance from our perspective. So even though I'm existing with you, I'm also coexisting outside of this reality. So the perspective is really different. And I know that the way I think is also very unique to the frequency to who I represent. If you know in the soul level first, before anybody else, any readers, psychic mediums told you who you are, you're from Andromeda, you've been in Syrians, you've been Pleiadians, what this really means to you, you bring it back to your core and ask different questions. First, connect to the understanding is, am I accepting that besides playing this human role or this having this human experience, that I bring in a multifaceted of soul essence connections. Think of it this way, like you're discovering your secret prism of light. It's like a reflected diamonds that has a multitude of facets. You may be used to look at one facet, and that facet is the one that you've been identified as. This is my story, this is my name, this is my point of origin, this is where I grew up, this is my cultural background. And then from there, I explore the world. How about you do the reverse? You says, okay, those story that I brought for this identity, like my name is Vivian, it's not, nobody calls me Vivian in the intergalactics. No one. Only this is my signature, so you can have something to call me in this lifetime. But nobody, my grandfather never says, Vivian, today we're going to transform your consciousness. No, they're going to connect with me directly to my soul identity. And we recognize each other that way. So unwinding ourselves, letting go of all these labels or identities or stories or personalities that we wear as a result of taking on, accepting what has been given to us through upbringing, to a genetic connection, to ancestral lineage, through, well, your culture said this, my culture said that, and yours culture say something else. It's time to shift out of these fragmented way of perceiving ourselves. That's number one. Number two is, are you accepting the fact that as a multidimensional being, that you are right now coexisting in multi ways with either interdimensional realities, parallel realities, that a part of you that is Syrian, a part of you that is Pleiadian, a part of you that is Andromedan is already part of your field of potential. But the human aspect of you says, my mind can only conceptualize so much, so I'm going to filter out and bring some compartments to what I accept. So one day I say, yeah, I'm going to accept the Syrian part of me. But then life happened, I put it on the side, and then I go back into being a human. We say, how about you bring all of these aspects, a soul identity, soul connection, and it becomes more of a sacred embodiment. I embodying the fact that I am an Arcturian being, and also understand that I am also coexisting on this planet with a race called Earth humans. It never changes or disconnect myself from the profound nature of who I am and who I chose to be in this lifetime as a nocturne being and for different purposes. It becomes part of more of a cohesiveness aspect of living. It's part of all aspect of my prism of light. So it's something very similar. We're going to invite all of you reflecting upon whether you know in the core since you were a child, the star seed will know that you came directly from another interstellar system or dimension, galaxy, constellation, all of it. You know it in your heart when it's time to bring back that these aspects of you and say, I'm going to embody them every day. And it has nothing to do of acquiring more information to feed your mind. Oh, I want to know what this person tell because that person says is an historian. You're going to tell me all the galactic history. Okay, that's a part of it's a perspective. It's not all the truth. It's just a perspective. Number one. Number two, it also depends on the quality of the ability of this person to bring this information into all frequency that correspond with these so-called knowledge. And number three is how are you integrating that? How is it supporting you evolving and re-understanding really who you are so you can have this reawakening within you and then your reality shifts. So we feel that our role is more hands-on direct impact to help you regain this place of empowerment, re-understanding the mechanism of your soul ancestry of who you are, and so you can integrate that knowledge in practical ways so you can make a positive impact in your world as opposed to feed your mind with we're going to open our archives and tell you a lot of our history over many thousands of years. It's going to blow you away going, wow, this is amazing. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really serve the purpose that we see reaching for you. And that is understanding the potential that you have. So your mind has to be tamed in a different ways. You have to pass barriers, filters, obstacle, thing that's been programmed even in a DNA, even in the subconscious archive, even in your unconscious field. You have to really start to do the work right at the core level. And then we talk about intergalactic history. Then we'll talk about accessing the archives of the earth because you're going to be in a place of being a higher mastery and how you can utilizing sacred knowledge in ways that propel this planet and this civilization to the true aspect of your evolution and finally understanding what ascension is really about. So this is the approach that we have and it's just in a nutshell, and this is just like a dense version of it, but it's very much the invitation is take more time, invest more time, energy, sacredness, understanding, exploration to rediscovering your inner universe that reflect into the other universe in your day-to-day life. Because let's say more people in Australia are awakening to their light. Let's say more people in the UK are awakening to the light. Well, that affects people in America. That affects people in New Zealand. That affects people everywhere, and it affects the planet herself. And this is where we feel this is very imperative. Bring yourself back. Because if half the planet, half the population suddenly bring themselves back into that place of, I am a master of light, there's no more need for me to be manipulated or to go through those steps. What do you think will happen to the planet? You have just reascended. It is done. So this is why we prefer for now encourage everyone bring yourself back to the essential of living, the essential of what you carry within you, because all your life for generations you've been trained to look everywhere, listen to everybody else, to read, to reach the stars, what else is possible. The only place that you've never truly deeply explored with the same passion and the same energy. It's the inner universe that you have within you. And we say, because of where the potential, there's no prediction here, but the potential of where the next phase of your timeline is coming, that's going to be essential to be in that space. So again, our messages will change along with you. We have been shifting and adjusting our frequencies and our methodology alongside with you, and we will continue to do that. But for today, moving forward, this is really much something important. And asking different questions, this is no longer about what craft do you have and what size of ship do you have. It's about connecting to the consciousness of these very intelligent cosmic beings who wants to connect with you, who wants to share more with you. But you have to be receptive to be able to receive the full capacity of what they really want to share with you. So again, redirecting your focal point. So just a condensed version. Thank you for allowing me.
No, that makes total sense, because we know, we are so much more than this vessel. We know we're multidimensional, and there's parts of me here, there, and doing different things in different places. So I suppose that is the message now more than ever, and it is to be tuned into your own inner being, to your higher self, whatever, to get the guidance and the messages. Because what was I going to ask you? Yeah, because you said in 2007 you had a life-altering reset. Would you like to share what that was, or how that happened? What happened?
Yes, indeed. I would love to. And I'll tell you why, because it's going to help inspire everyone to better integrate and understand what we just shared. When I moved from Canada and arrived to the ancient grid system of Arizona in the west part of the United States, I knew that I was going to undertake the next stage or the next level of upgrades with what was coming to the planet at the time, and also to prepare me to come into more the next level of my work, on my planetary work. So in 2007, I went on to an expedition with a group of beautiful, spiritually based people onto the other realm of the Grand Canyon in Arizona. So we came and as a group, and we went to this other realm, on the Grand Canyon, and we find a site to stay there for the night. And the goal was to create a direct interconnections and conscious connections, not only to the land and of course the the imprint of the Grand Canyon, but to also invite our star brothers and sisters to connect with us. And there was other purposes for us to be there. The long story short is that something happened, and the temperature dropped significantly that night. So even though we had a fire going on and we have all the vehicles and we were well equipped and everything, something unexpected came. A very cold front came and swept the area, and we were pretty much in the open air. And being in close to the Grand Canyon, it's pitch black at night, so there's no way of leaving the site safely, so we have to stay on site. Physically, because the way I'm designed, cold weather is very detrimental to me. So what happened is that my body temperature dropped and I went into hypothermia. And so the people I was with wrapped me up into a thermal blanket and really did all kind of procedure and healing and hands-on, and nothing worked. Nothing worked. My body was dropping, and I could feel at some point I says, okay, maybe it's a time for me to leave the planet and transform back into my Arcturian self. And there may be another way for me to do this work. So I sent a signal, a thought form. I said, at this point of time, if I'm really meant to be here, I'm going to need help to stabilize this physical form. And what happened is that I start to hear tonality, sound, drumming, like a group of being came to me. And the transmission I received right into my heart center is surrender, release. We're going to make sure that your body is reattuned. So I let it go, and I felt this presence of this being coming in, and I left my body or fall asleep. I left my body and I came back. And when I came back, my body was completely restored. My body temperature came back and everything was back to normal. So the next day, I was brought home. This is where the reset began. So for an entire month, my intergalactic group came and they said, you are moving into the next structural level or the next luminous template of your body, and your brain function is going to be rewired to match the next level of frequency you're going to be transmitting. So we're going to disconnect you from your body for about a month in order to go through this complete recalibration. So they readjust even my chakra system or the energetic vortexes of your body, we call chakras. There was additional ones brought in, and on the brain level there was some adjustment made, and my body went into a complete reset to allow another aspect of my Arcturian essence to come through and stabilize the form, stabilize my new body template, and allowing my nervous systems to adjust to these new frequencies. And so I went through a complete reset, and I can feel because I was a lot in and out of body the entire time. But it took, in a linear time, it took a month to do this, like an entire month when I went through this huge recalibration. And what I was shown is aspect of my future self, or aspect of where the next level of my planetary work will begin a little bit more public, will expand, and it was showing me aspect of where the Earth was shifting at the time. You have to think this is back in 2007. We've already gone through that, so I'm just reliving with you that moment. So I was shown all these aspects of myself and bring back these future aspect of self into my template so I can reattune. Once the reset, the recalibration was complete, this is why I start to see that my faculties and my abilities start to increase more. And I understood that I was being prepared, so to speak, for the next stage. So I went through all of this leading up to where I am today. Now I am due for the next recalibration. So I'm I know they're going to do it differently than it was done in 2007, but I know that I'm about to go through the next recalibration. Why? Because again, readjusting as the frequency of the earth shift, the new alignment comes in, the new grid system coming in, we see the vibration moving. It's time for an upgrade so we can do the next level of transmission work and what we need to do. So I will always remember that 2007 recalibration. It was, even on a physical level, quite intense. Um, at the same time, the doorway that is opened up for me was extraordinary, and it really has accelerated my capability to be more and more who I am, and this is where I am today. So,
Fantastic. Right, let me think. So when, I know you do a lot of healing work and a lot of people come to you. Do they come to you because they're receiving communication from, say, Arcturians, and they don't really know how to deal with it or to open themselves up to receive more? Or how do you work with your healing work and other people?
it's a very complex way because we have developed over the years our own methodology called the Arcturian Energy Matrix, which is basically an holographic luminous template that is attuned with the frequency of the Arcturians and our mastery. People come to us for various reasons. Oftentimes, there's a soul calling, or they felt through either an interview or a transmission, or they had an experience with us, either through our monthly meditations or what we offer. They felt a calling, they felt something that was brought them to us. Others are really clear that they are either star seeds or they are been working with a large level of different level of masters, ascendant beings, they communicate or speaking like language, and they want to better understand and needs additional helps
Mm.
to continue to evolve. Others come as pure curiosity, but when you come to us just out of curiosity, we said to you, we may not completely be ready for us, so I'm going to ask you to, beyond the curiosity of the mind, what is the true purpose for working with our beautiful delegation? Over the past decade, but more than that, 11 years now from a public perspective, it's been about 11 years now. I done over 22,000 private one-on-ones eating sessions
Wow.
and counting and counting, and that's in addition to the other work that we do. We're shifting our model. We're shifting away from the one-on-ones because there's so much greater needs on the planet
Mm.
that we're moving more into group healing. And from what we do every month, it's called the Arcturian holographic group healing, which is open to the planet. It's worldwide, and it's a very powerful 2 hours where we bring in with the delegations different methodology, whether it's working on readjusting the luminous template of the nervous systems, whether it's the cellular resonance, whether it's helping you, at different levels. So each month we readjust which frequencies we feel are the most appropriate and how we're going to bring these frequencies. And it gives everyone an opportunity to receive, integrate in the way that you need the most, and helping you to also looking at what opportunity of release, restrictions, barriers, filters become, and being able to enhance the quality of receiving these beautiful vibration. And many people come because it gives them an opportunity to enhance their own connection to their star groups. And we oftentimes will invite a group or two to come with us. So, for example, we work a lot with the Andromedans, so we're going to invite them in our field. When we open the holographic field, says today we're going to bring the Andromedan, or today we're going to bring the Lyrans, or today we're going to be working with the High Council of Sirius. So we're going to bring some additional groups which feed and help the star seed and everyone to reconnect with these also presence. So that's a way that we help to these group healing. But our work is very intense in the sense that the capacity of what we can reach is really unlimited. We can go through any timelines, any aspect. We can look at any fractals that needs to be reattuned, coach, maybe repair. We do a lot of soul coaching. We do a lot of guidance. We provide what we do is very multi-layered. So it's not, oh, we help you to heal or channel or to clear your chakras. For us, this is baseline. What
Mm.
we do is really helping you get in tune with that divine aspect of your potential. And we dig and we go, this is what we're retrieving. Are you ready for this?
Mm.
So, like I said, right now my one-on-ones booking system is completely full. I'm not taking new clients on a one-on-one. I am booked for the next year or two. But
Oh.
I will encourage more to work with us with the group monthly group healing. We also have an online community with membership where we are very involved with our members, learning, teaching, healing, expansion, transmission. And we also do once a year a retreat just for the members. So that will be more the way to work with us moving forward.
Mm. So where's the retreat held? Is that in Arizona?
It's different places. Like for example, this year, past in May, we were in Glastonbury.
Oh,
We went to
really?
Glastonbury, yes. Then we went to Avery, and then we also went to Sagnecton Glen, and
Yeah.
we went to different places. And we had a group where we commune inside of Stone Edge, and we brought in the ancient guardians at the sun as the sun was rising. We brought in the guardians inside of Stonehenge, and we done we did beautiful work with our group. In 2024, we're planning a retreat in Switzerland. I'm already communicating with a place in Switzerland, but it's for members only, and so that's part of what we do with the members, and that's also in addition to working with other network. And I'm going to be traveling more next year as well. So we're expanding, we're offering more and more.
Mm. Yeah, amazing. So, because we're, as we see it, or at the moment, we're in the greatest time of history, what guidance would be given to help people now more than ever? Because more and more people are becoming aware of different things that are going on. So, would you still say just connect with your inner being, or is there anything else you would say this is going to help us all to shift into the newer earth, if you like?
Shifting again has a multifacet to it. It's beyond just connecting to your being. It's really take the time to explore, learn, discover. Are you aware of what your nervous system is about? Do you understand its functionality? Are you able to connect consciously to the quantum field of your own DNA? Do you have an understanding of what your DNA is about? So what we say is release the distractions, release also the control of the lower three-dimensional mental mind that dictates to you that you have to go, learn more, the next
Mm,
class, the next video, the next transmission. And what we see overall in the human template is that an overflow that is just piling up without having a really true understanding, learning, and integrating the lessons behind it. We're going to recommend everyone to step in that path of self mastery, what we call a higher level of spiritual maturity. And what it means is that you want to walk the walk, you have to talk the talk.
mm,
Everything in you has to be in alignment to go in that directions. It may seem redundant what we're sharing. At the same time, we can assure you it's of the utmost importance, because we're seeing too much in the spiritual community and even the UFO community, much more of a mentalized approach to understanding ascension, rediscovering history, wanting to on discovering who am I, what am I here for. If you're still asking yourself who am I and what I'm here for, then it's going to be even more important for you to go back and ask different questions, such as, I am ready now to go deeper in the rediscovering of who I am. I recognize that I am on my journey and always have been. Look look in your journey, your life path. Look at everything you've learned, all the lessons. Are they learned? Have you earned the wisdom? Are you
mm,
done with each overlays of history and stories that you carry in your field? You're going to have to really step to the plate that way. Are you living in symbiotic, respectful way with all life around you, like the animal kingdom? Are you also aware of the energy of the planet as a conscious living being? Are you living every day in the sacredness of all the resources with others? Are you able to decode your own energy? Are you understanding the language of your body? So those are all baselines of essential of living that is really going to propel this beautiful reascension process. So this is why moving into 2024 and even 2025, the next two timelines coming to the planet, or calendar years as you
mhm,
quantify time, it's really about stepping full consciousness, body, mind, spirit connecting into I am stepping back into the master that I am. I am no longer playing that 3D human role. And then you can see and understand how these branches of either galactic ancestry, galactic history, the earth, the archives, and all of it is becoming of a natural components of reading, integrating, utilizing in the sacredness of the knowledge. Ask the Syrians about this. They have learned a great deal about this, and I'll tell you why. There's many, many, many star seeds from Sirius on the planet, and I love you all because you're amazing. Syrians have learned to make the distinction of what it can be shared in terms of knowledge and what needs to be held back. Because any civilization, not just the Earth human, there's many, many civilizations
Mm.
who are at a similar level of evolutionary conscious process that you are right now, and it's important to reattune yourself to say there's a time to share higher knowledge, and there's a time to allow you to integrate, learn, and utilize that knowledge in a way that is in sync with life. Because in the Syrians' history, they have shared in the past all of their advanced technology with other civilization on other planetary system, and some of them has very disastrous effect. They utilize it, they misuse it. They thought they had a good understanding of it, but there was a lack of spiritual maturity behind it, and it caused distortion. So I'm bringing this one galactic example to illustrate how the mastery of you is vital at this point. No more living your life on autopilot, or what your government said, or what the news said, or what this channel or this famous channel said. It's about creating the extraction of higher discernment and helping you to make the distinction of, if you say that you are an Arcturian, own it, embody it, understand who are that civilization that you said you're part of. Then you can start to speak about it, have the knowledge, and share with others. Instead of just blurring this energy out in communities and in the field of the earth, start to understand the mastery of your own self in the projection of your thoughts, your emotion, your belief system, and to know that you are pure energy in action. And these waves of energies affect the entire ecosystem. So whatever happened in New Zealand will affect us in the US and vice versa. You need to understand that you are affecting each other and you are affecting beyond your solar system. This is part of that mastery that we are referring to. And it's just a loving example of it, if that makes sense.
Mm, totally. Oh, wow.
Hey,
Amazing. Go on.
is on Vivian's website. It's got a link to a show that she's helped to produce called Extraordinary: The Revelations. Yeah. Can I
Uh,
play that trailer? Is that okay with you?
okay, just to clarify, and thank you for bringing this, Jeff. I appreciate it. Just to clarify, it was a documentary that I participated in. So it was produced by J3 Film Productions. It's called Extraordinary The Revelations. It was the third documentary of their series, and I just happened to be a part of. It was a small part. I wish we had a little bit more space to really bring our high wisdom and our inspiration, but nonetheless, we are there, and it's really much that contribution we can talk about. The way the director chose to bring the directions to the documentary, that's something else.
Mhm.
But I can tell you there will be another documentary that's coming up supposedly in 2024. They also have made contribution on behalf of my Arcturian delegation, and it's going to be announced, but there's another one, a new one coming in. um, let's see, it's based on a book, and I think I have the book with me right now. I'm going to show it to you. It's a beautiful gentleman in California who wrote the book, and with his production company, who were based in Germany, I gave a series of interviews along with other contributors, and a documentary is coming up next year. It will mean in 2024. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it because I have a background. There you go. That's based on that book. Disregard the cover. This is not important. What is important is what this is about. Okay, no fear, just light. It's an almanac, a compilation that talks about, just in a nutshell, the essence of the complexity of how many intergalactic interstellar groups there are, and even beyond, extra dimensional and other groups. This is just a cover that the author chose. I would have chosen something else, but that's okay. The author is beautiful. Uh, his name is Craig Campobasso. There you go, right here. That's the name of the author.
I
Okay, so he is the author. Beautiful gentleman, a wonderful, very attuned, very generous, beautiful heart, very generous heart. Um, the trailer is not very representative of the documentary, and I was cut off of the trailer. So if you can watch the trailer if you want, but just keep in mind, no fear. The director chose to have a more polarized vision of an approach to the ET presence on the planet. We have a different perspective, being very advanced spiritually and ascended race than we are. So we can watch the trailer, but just to keep in mind, it's just the director perspective.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeff, for showing the
I
very
saw
short.
Mary Rodwell in there.
Yeah.
Yes. I worked and spoke with Mary Rodwell many times, and she was also on my podcast. One thing that Mary and I had in common is a little bit of disappointment and sadness in the documentary, because there were so many other ways this could have gone through. But there's a lot of energy based on the fear, and some other guests are super passionate, and they just push their energy onto the screen. And that's one example of being mindful how you push your energy. It's not about pushing energy, it's about sharing your energy. It's about expanding your energy. The thing about this documentary, this a few years now, there's a section around ascension, and this is where I come in. And it's an interview I've done, I would say, six years ago. So even there, vibrationally, we're in a different space as we were back then. But what I'm really looking forward is the documentary based on the almanac. I feel like it's going to be more reflective on the diversity of intergalactic group consciousness, intelligence, and even beyond, and how, it's going to illustrate very much the fact that we are part of a very beautiful intergalactic communities. Yes, like on this planet, there are those who have different perspective, different intentions, different core values, different ways of perceiving, realities, and different ways of perceiving themselves, while others are more spiritually oriented, others are more like in different space. But ultimately, you need to understand that this is no longer about cultivating black and white, bad and good, dark and light. It's about cultivating that reunification within ourselves and getting out of the polarized dualistic reality. So if there's anything that feed that dualistic energies or that polarization, I will lovingly say, just take everything with a grain of salt and remain in that place of 0 point, sacred neutrality, sacred centeredness, and just choose to tune in to different level of conscious reality. I'm very, very mindful of the way we communicate, what we transmit, the frequency that we are generating. We are very, very mindful of what is it we want to encourage you the most. And we are very passionate about putting the focal point of it is time for you to re-empower yourself in many ways. And that includes what you feel in your mind.
Totally. But I saw a couple of things. If you've got a couple of minutes to answer any questions, it flashed up. I can't get rid of this bar on the bottom. Right, John Courtney says, I was once, so I can't get rid of my bottom bar, so I can't read half the writing.
I'll read it. I'll read.
Yeah.
John's up in New York or something, I think, from memory. I was once walking in a store, and when I looked at people, I know everything about them. I could even feel their cells communicating with each other. What was that?
Well, it's a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
It can be many things, depending on what it represents for you, John. So again, that experience you had in the store, that will have been an opportunity to come back and go into a meditative state to reflect within yourself. It says, at that moment in that store, I was able to understand everyone's decode, even the communication at a cellular level. Now I wish to hold that experience in my space and deepening my own understanding of what is happening at that moment. So it can be that at that moment, you are coming into a more lucid way of understanding what being in oneness is about. It's understanding that even the way your cells on a quantum level communicate with each other, you can have the faculties to pick up on this. That moment of clarity and opening became an extraordinary moment in time for you. At the same time, it is an invitation to really retain and better understand what was it for you. Was it that you were opening some channels? Whether is it that you were at that point entering into a higher alter state and you experience that moment? But it shows you also what else is possible. It shows you that this is where we're going to, and you had a glimpse of it in the moment you call being in a store. Now imagine living every day that way. Imagine really communicating, understanding, relating to each other that way. How will it change lives? How will it change the fabric of reality right here, right now, and moving forward? So this is how I would approach this: is go back, reflect upon how you felt, remember how you felt, remember that moment in the store, remember with your body consciousness, with your heart, with your open consciousness, remember and ask to your higher self, I wish to move forward and hold more of these conscious moments. I am ready for them.
Okay. Andrew says, did the Arcturians ever physically colonize on Earth?
Not in the sense that you perceive it. Physically, Arcturians are more perceived as ethereal being because we vibrate at very, very high frequencies. So our body is not the same way as you conceptualize physical form here. So we have the capacity of projecting our holographic light body in a way that it can appear solid to you. We have the ability to shape a little bit the way we transmit our energy. So some people says, oh, Arcturians are 4 feet tall or 5 feet tall. They're greenish, bluish. In reality, we're not. We're super tall, and we have more of a translucid, beautiful, ethereal aspect to us. It's the ability we have to project our light spectrum to you the way it's be more comfortable. So physically, for us to be on a planet as dense as the Earth is too much. There's too much energy. So colonize the earth in the way you think? I know you think of it. No. Do we have etheric outposts? That's a different way. So we have multiple ways of having a presence on the planet. To more on the etheric level, we do have different outposts, so to speak, but not in the physical way like the Pleiadians were here physically, or the Anunnaki were here physically, or the reptilians and so forth. We are vibrating in a different sphere at different octaves. So physically, in that sense, no. But we have been part and interacting and overseeing the planet for a very, very long time. I would say even before the solar system was called a solar system. So our history with the Earth comes a long way.
Right. The show is getting on. Laugh out loud. Vivian, can you describe an ordinary day in the life of a current Arcturian, please?
Thank you for asking. I like the curiosity. But first, define an ordinary day. So again,
Yeah.
we have a different frame of reference than you. For example, we are very prone of encouraging our soul to reach its highest potential. So we're going to be more dedicated in that way. We don't have the recreational needs to entertain ourselves or to perceive life as you perceive it on the 3D day. If I were to ask you, describe to us an ordinary day in the human life, we will listen to you. We'll go like, that's interesting how you perceive life, how you perceive yourself. So there's no ordinary day. We are constantly of service to the supreme source. We constantly serve, and we're constantly in a state of unification, and we're helping. I would love to answer that question more than that, but it's something that is non-existent in our frame of reference. So I'm applying myself to bring some human example so we can illustrate it. We don't have the same passage of time as you perceive it here. We can live in the same body for 1,000 years or 800 years if we choose to. So imagine what the passage of time or a day feels like to us compared to you. There's no frame of comparison.
Okay, so
sorry.
right. So John Courtney says, thank you very much for your answer. During shamanic breathwork, I was honored to look at God, and when I looked into his eyes about 3 foot away, all I could see was the universe. God conscious is coming. I can't read the next bit.
Consciousness is coming soon. Love your light. So
Right,
before we finish, in the glyphs and the symbolism on behind you on your backdrop there, what do they refer to? Because it looks like they mirror each other.
I have a hard time understanding you, Jeffrey. Can you repeat a bit slower, and so I can hear, please, your question?
In the background of your camera there, or your video background, those glyphs, those symbols, what do they represent?
So you're asking about the significance of my background right now? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for asking. Well, what you're seeing right now, it's an aspect of my official logo that you can see on my website. And this beautiful artwork was made for me, I would say, about at least 12 years ago by now. And so each of the symbol on each side, if you look at the blue ones reflecting with the purple light, they are blueprint of some of the Arcturian presence, some of our Arcturian ship in a light form. And behind me, the golden symbols are an aspect of our light language. They are transmission, they are codes. This entire graphic was designed to constantly speak to everyone differently and to be able to help to opening some of your centers. And at the bottom, that blue energy, an aspect of that blue light like a planet, is also designed to represent an essence of our realm in Arcturus. So this is very much, I feel, in my element with those symbols around me. It helps me to stay in the integrity of my Arcturian vibrational self. And it's meant for everyone to speak the conscious level and vibrationally with you in ways to inspire you and potentially maybe stimulate some ancient memory connectors. Or if you have an affinity with the Arcturian frequency, it's going to speak to you that way. Even if you are considered more of an Andromedan, even if you are considered as an earth angel, whoever energy you represent, it is really designed to inspire you and awaken something much more divine and potential in you. So it's going to speak to everyone differently. There is no direct translation because it constantly shifts and evolves, and it's very much frequency based. This is why I use it as a background. Even during my healing session, I have this background.
Very good. Thank you.
Of course.
I know we've gone over time a bit, and I know I'm aware of the time for you in early hours. So I'd like to say thank you very much for being our guest this week. It's been an absolute delight. You've shared so much information. So thank you for just being here and sharing.
Thank you so much for having me. You are most welcome. And I am happy to feel that it was well received. There was a multiple of layers of necessary reminders in the form of knowledge, wisdom, a lot of frequencies exchange for sure. What we do in everything that we do is very experiential, and I'm glad that you receive it, even though my physical form is quite tired, but my essence is still vibrant and present. It is after 3 a.m. in the morning for me, so I'm about to be disconnected from my form. So I want to thank you all for having me, Andrena and Jeff, both of you. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your light. And thank you for being open to receiving us today. And to everyone, it really is. Love your light. I love that. Stay in the certainty of your light. Remember, the experience of fear cannot coexist with the magnificence of your light in the same space. So when you feel that fear is coming in, understand this is just an experience, breathe into it, bring more light, shed more light behind that fear, and allowing to transform and transmute so it can inspire you to something higher.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And maybe you'll come back on later on in the year or in 2024 and talk to us again.
Oh, particularly in the new show, the new documentary or the video. Yeah.
Yes, that would be lovely. It will be our pleasure to do so. And thank you, everyone who has been tuning in, answering, asking really wonderful questions, and everyone who will be listening and discovering. Whatever we do, you need to re-listen again because there's a lot of really subtle layers in between of what we are conveying. And every time you may discover something new, a new experience, a new activation, and potentially even a breakthrough. Remember that ultimately what we do is to really seeing you transforming and blossoming into the truth of who you are. And we're here to really supporting you to your reascension. And this is part of our deep motivation and of course for my work as well. So thank you so much.
I know. Thank you. Okay, everybody. Thank you for listening, and same time, same place next week.
Okay.